The minute he came into the White House, he just shut everything down that President Trump had put in place to protect our nation and opened it wide so they could have voters for the future. Let's just be frank. Hey, everyone, I'm coming to you live from Texas, live from the border standoff. Yes, the feds. The feds tried to get Governor Greg Abbott to back down, and guess what happened? The feds lost. They are losing in the standoff. You want to know why? Because the Texas National Guard, Texas Department of Public Safety, all the constables, anybody else who's out there, including Border Patrol, which of course falls under the federal government, but it doesn't matter because here in Texas, they are unified. They're unified to close the border down and protect the people of Texas from what is transpiring on the U.S.-Mexico border. But more than that, they are doing it to protect each and every one of you, every single one of you and your children and your families from the horrors of a chaotic border that is so out of control that our adversaries, as far away as Iraq, Syria, Afghanistan, China, I could keep going, have already utilized this border to come into the United States, and they continue to do so. But in Texas, guess what? At Eagle Pass, at Shelby Park, where I was at not only late last week, but just yesterday, yes, I drove in. I drove down to the border in my rent-a-car. By the way, my rent-a-car was a Ford Escape, but the S fell off the back, so it had a Cuban accent. I was driving a Ford Escape, as my family would have said. I am driving the Escape to Shelby Park. Yes, and I drive myself, and I, drove about 3 hours to get down there to go meet with yesterday with Lieutenant Chris Olivarez. I'm going to play a clip of that for you for Sean Hannity's show and for my podcast here at the Sara Carter Show, because I want to bring you the information directly from the ground, not from hearsay, not from so-and-so saw it, not from the chat GPT stories that are out there, not from any of that. I wanted to bring you the reality of what is happening on the ground in Texas and how Shelby Park really is, and Eagle Pass became an example for what can be done when you want to shut the border down. And by the way, Governor Greg Abbott is not alone. Every Republican governor, except one, and we all know who that is, maybe the redheaded stepchild. No, I'm not going to say that, has called on Greg Abbott to hold the line. And I've called on him, hold the line. What are they going to do? What are they going to do? Come in and arrest Greg Abbott for actually defending Texas, for defending his state, for defending Americans? No. Unlike our leaders in Washington, D.C., these governors know how important a secure border is for our country. Biden's policies have literally made every state a border state. And, when lawmakers were saying that, it sounds kind of cliche. It sounds, oh, we've heard that before. No, it really is. Every state is a border state. It's far worse than a border state, actually, because what's happening is you have millions upon millions, between 8 to 10 million under Biden alone, that have come into the United States, have literally set up shop in communities all over the country, in airports and police stations, utilizing trauma units at hospitals, in our school systems. We are imploding. We don't have the resources. We don't even have the resources to handle the law enforcement side of this. And the Biden administration is allowing it to happen. So they're aiding and abetting the drug. And by the way, all the while that are hundreds of millions of, and I'm talking maybe even billions of taxpayer dollars is going to this problem, the drug cartels and the human traffickers are making hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars off of this crisis. So while your money is being sucked out of your pocket, while Governor Greg Abbott is doing everything he can to tamp down that border, to shut it down, to send a message to the federal government that no way, no how, not in Texas. It's like the Alamo. It's like the last stand, right? Seriously is. This is the Wild West, folks. I'm not joking. Except it's really calm right now in Eagle Pass, in Shelby Park. And by the way, and we'll talk about this a little bit more, I'm not only going to play you the clip of my interview with Chris Olivarez. You don't want to miss that at all if you haven't heard it. You don't want to miss it because he is the head of the press office for Texas Department of Public Safety. He is an officer, a lieutenant, and he is going to lay it out for you. Not only am I going to play that clip for you, but I also had an opportunity to just hang with and interview Governor Kristi Noem. And we were out there together. She is one of those 25 governors that is backing Governor Greg Abbott in his battle against the federal government. And she was phenomenal. She went out there. She showed her support for the National Guard, for Texas DPS, as well as, everybody else who is out there. Because believe me, it's not just what you see. It's a concerted effort. It's a concerted effort of all of these agencies working to secure the border. It's part of Operation Lone Star. That is an operation that's been ongoing here in Texas. And guess what? National Guard is still rolling out the concertina wire. I was there. I saw it with my own eyes. But before I get to that, I want to tell you all about Mike Lindell. You guys know I love Mike Lindell, right? He is having a huge MyPillow sale right now. You do not want to miss this. And I am here to support Mike Lindell. I am here to support America First and American companies. Let's do it. Right now, you can get MyPillow's best prices ever and free shipping on your entire order, guys. Free shipping on your entire order. Savings include 50% off MyPillow 2.0, 50% off brand new flannel sheets. Just arrived, so they will not last long. So get those, but don't get those without using promo code Carter. Use CARTER. That is CARTER. Visit mypillow.com/Carter and enter code Carter, CARTER, at checkout for free shipping and huge discounts, including the Giza Dream bed sheets and so much more. Those Giza Dream bed sheets are as low as $29.98 right now. You won't beat that. Go to mypillow.com/Carter. Code Carter, CARTER, mypillow.com/Carter, code Carter, or call 1-800-685-7221. So Friday, I am at, Shelby Park, Eagle Pass. So it takes maybe about 3 hours to drive there from my house. It's kind of a long drive. You do hit an area of the road where I call it no man's land. This is, Texas no man's land. My Verizon just bye-bye. You can't reach a soul. You're just fingers crossed, no Texas Chainsaw Massacre, please, in whatever mile stretches that I have where there is no, it's like literally back to the 1980s and pre-1980s, 1980s before, no big cell phones, no little cell phones, no nothing. You're not finding anything but cattle, Texas Longhorns, hay, and a nice long road, beautiful ranch lands. And actually gives you a little bit of a break. I can kind of think, I get out there. I know what you're thinking. I mean, there are places in America, believe it or not, we talk about, these cities are overpopulated. There's some areas, even when I fly over, I'm like, there is like nobody, like all of this land, it's empty space. And I love it. I love it. I love it. And so I'm driving down there. Actually, Friday I was driving actually with Gary Bergman. He was working security with me. And there was another security guard with us. Usually I don't have security with me. It depends on where I'm going. This time I did. So they had to suffer through me. And I actually posted, because up ahead of us, we had some Florida state troopers that were in front of our car at one point, and I was videotaping it, and apparently it went viral. But there you go, another state that is backing Governor Greg Abbott, and it's the great state of Florida. another free state, a Republican governor, Governor Ron DeSantis. And look, Governor Ron DeSantis, just like Governor Greg Abbott, they understand the problem. They understand the significance of having wide open borders, chaos, losing our sovereignty, the fact that this is the biggest crisis in the United States, and it's literally breaking the back of our nation. It is absolutely unfair to our children, to future generations. We have children and adults dying in this country of fentanyl poisoning at a rate that is unheard of. You know, I remember, and I'll say this again before I actually get you to Shelby Park. When I was covering the war in Afghanistan, it would constantly be a ticker of how many troops have died, right? And I think it was over 7,000 in the end, and then wounded so much more. And I'll get those numbers. But the point is that we were always like, oh, 3 U.S. troops died today. Yes. I wanted them to even say their names afterwards because I thought that, you know, it shouldn't be just numbers because we should see their faces. We should know. So think about how big of a deal it was every time there was an attack or a U.S. troop died or somebody lost their life overseas in Iraq right now. God rest their souls. We've lost 5, 2 SEALs, 3 Army, and all of those wounded on that base in Jordan. But we've lost over 112,000 people to fentanyl poisoning and overdose deaths in the United States last year alone. I want to say that again. Let me stress that. I think the number may be even somewhere near 120,000 now. But the last number that I remember was over 112,000. Children, a lot of them. Babies that have died from fentanyl poisoning because they've been in contact with it. What is going on here? That is a proxy war against us. It's coming across our border. That doesn't even include the mess that we're seeing in our cities. Fecal matter, no restrooms all over the streets in areas of New York City. People sleeping on the streets in the cold in Chicago. People that are here with children, we don't even know if those are their kids or if they're selling them. How many children are lost in the system that are coming across that border? And we talk about human trafficking and we talk about, that we should care and about modern day slavery, yet our government is aiding and abetting in that. They are allowing it to happen. And these cartels are reaping the rewards of Biden's open border policy. And yet he is holding or trying, and even the rhinos in Washington, D.C. and the Senate makes me sick, like Mitch McConnell with this bill, trying to say, oh, well, if the Republicans would just pass this bill. They're trying to hold the Republicans hostage on this bill because they want to fund Ukraine. They don't give a shit about you or your children. They really don't. They don't care. They want to fund that war. And they want to keep that border open because that bill alone says 5,000. Oh, up to 5,000 a day. Who is going to stand by the border, folks, with like a counter, a Geiger counter? Okay, now right now, okay, we're counting. We're up. We're at 4,500, only 500 more allowed in. Who's going to do that? Who's going to even know? What about all the known gotaways? Oh, we counted 5,000. We actually apprehended 5,000, but there were 15,000 that ran in the other way. Just ignore those numbers. And half of them probably are from countries of special interest. And some of those may be terrorists. And some of those may end up killing Americans one day. But who cares? Because we were able to fund the war in Ukraine and protect Ukraine from Russia. That is super important, right, Mitch McConnell? So back to the road. I'm on the road. We're heading down to Shelby Park and I get there and it's awesome. We're hearing about the big standoff, the feds versus the state, It's Biden versus Abbott because all the ground troops are doing one thing and one thing only, protecting you. That's what they're doing. They're down there, they're on the border, and they are saying, hey, guess what? You are my number one priority. I have a job to do, and my job is to ensure that this border is sealed and nobody's going to make me move from this border. Texas DPS has said that to me. In fact, you know what? Let's play the clip of Lieutenant Chris Olivarez. This was Chris and I just yesterday, but I want to play this clip because I think this is so important. It goes right to the heart of what I'm saying.
Because of what we've been able to do as a state, National Guard, DPS, we have secured this area here in Shelby Park, Eagle Pass, which has been known for years that this is the place to cross. If you look at all the physical barriers that National Guard put up, this is a deterrent. This is what we need. This goes back to show you that walls do actually work. Physical barriers actually work. We've never been in a situation like this, not only where we're having to defend our state and our border, but now also, this conflict, this alleged conflict between us and federal agents, which is not even there. But again, it all goes back to show you what the priorities are for this federal government. Their priorities are to allow as many people into the country as possible, and also to create this narrative or this conflict between us and law enforcement, federal law enforcement, which is not the case. And I think right there really shows you where their priorities are, and really what they should be focusing on is securing the border. They have the authority to do that, but they refuse to do that right now.
So the Biden administration is stuck between a rock and a hard place, right? They are like, okay, we're going to demand that Governor Greg Abbott, based on the Supreme Court decision, because the Supreme Court says we can, we're going to demand that they cut that concertina wire. Go ahead, cut the wire. And everybody on the border is like, nope, not cutting the wire. Sorry. So what can President Biden do? What's he going to do? So if he decides to federalize the National Guard, right? Because that's the move that he can make. He can federalize the National Guard and force the National Guard to cut down that concertina wire, which, I'm telling you right now, folks, I will not name names, but I don't know one National Guardsman or guardswomen, whatever you guys want to say, that wants to do that. They don't want to do it. They do not want to do it. They are so happy when they're rolling out that concertina wire. They want it there. They do not want thousands of people under the bridge like they had before when the Haitians came. They do not want people pouring across this raging river, which they are not now, thank God, because this river is moving so fast. We have lost way too many lives already. And right now the water's really high because we've had so much rain out here in Texas. I'm sure you're all feeling the weather, right? You know what it's like. Weather's been crazy this year. It's a lot of snow, a lot of rain. Well, out here in Texas, it's been a lot of rain. And so our rivers are moving quick and people are dying. And we do not want to see children coming across that river. So now what we know is that the border is working. It is being held tight. It's strong. And it's ballooning in other areas like Arizona, San Diego, where you're seeing more and more people crossing through there. Well, because, especially California, you got Governor Newsom. What's he doing? A whole van load of people from Iraq and other parts of the world, special interest aliens were they were piling out of a van just last week. And one of our reporters from Fox News was able to catch that on camera. So we're not seeing it at Shelby Park the way we saw it before. The numbers are still high, guys. Don't get me wrong. I remember when Jay Johnson, who was the head of DHS under Barack Obama, when he said we had a crisis when there was 1,000. Listen to this. I'm saying it again. When we had 1,000 people crossing the border a day. Right now, it's 6,000, roughly 6,000 to 7,000 is what they're saying. Right now that we know of, crossing the border a day. That's a reduction from the 15 to 10,000 that we had. December, over 300,000. To the point where 10 senior FBI officials have now signed a letter talking about this border being a direct threat to each and every one of us. I'm scared. I go to the mall with my daughter. I go out with my family. I board a plane. I'm what is going on? Could there be a terror cell ready to target us? Yeah, absolutely. Could we become the potential victims of another massive terror attack? Yes, I could be one. You could be one. I just want you to think about this for 1 minute. Just look at your family. Take a good look at your children, take a good look at your loved ones, and say to yourself, how would you feel? Who would you blame if something happened to them? Because the border was wide open under this administration. Who would be responsible for the death of our family? For the deaths of our neighbors, our fellow Americans, each one of us. If that happens, who is potentially responsible if they know it? I think President Biden is. This is why we need to hold them accountable. Sean had asked me last night on the show. He said, what do we do? I mean, when the media is not reporting the facts of what is going on here. I said, Sean, you know what? I mean, he said, do the American people really understand? Yes, absolutely. You understand. Absolutely. You can see it. Even in democratic cities, like where they used to be like, oh, we should open the border, let everybody live, whatever, freedom for everyone, no borders. The world should be borderless. Now they're like, please, please, please put up a border, put a big door, make them do their checks before they come in. We can't afford it. We shouldn't put up with it. It is absolutely wrong. It's the reason why I'm a part of Border 911. And if you guys have not gone to the website, Tom Homan, Mark Morgan, and I, Jason Jones, Derek Maltz, he's so awesome. I mean, all of us, Victor Avila, we're a part of a team that wants to make a difference. We believe that we need to secure our nation's border, and our sovereignty is absolutely number one. Absolutely number one. It is imperative that we do. And we can't do that without you. Now, you know your lawmakers, you know what they're going to do. I know mine. I have Chip Roy. I know he's going to back this border policy. I know some of you are mad at him because he was backing Ron DeSantis. I'm like, whatever. We all have a right to back whoever we want. Right now, we've got to back the person that I believe is going to actually make a difference, actually secure our border, isn't a rhino, is going to talk straight to you, is going to do the right thing. And I believe that is President Trump. I really do. And I believe President Trump for 4 years. And then we got 8 years of whoever comes after that. Could be Ron DeSantis, could be anybody else. But we need all of this time to protect our nation. So I was out there on the water, concertina wire, like 3 levels deep, talking, saying hi to our National Guard, telling them thank you so much for your service. On Friday, like I said, I was out there with Governor Kristi Noem. She was amazing. She came out there and she actually spoke with Dan Patrick out here in Texas after I interviewed her. We were out on the river. We went out on the swamp boats. I was actually out with the Florida, and I'm going to try to remember, Fish and Wildlife, Florida Fish and Wildlife. They are out here as well, going up and down the Rio Grande, ensuring the security of the border. And, Governor Kristi Noem said, I have always backed Governor Greg Abbott. It was never a question. We will support him 100%. We will support him with our National Guard, with whatever he needs. We will stand by his side. Because she was saying she herself has seen the issues, even at home in the Dakotas, on the Native American reservations, where They are just being destroyed with the narcotics trafficking that is coming from Mexico. And all of the people in her state that have literally fell victim to opioid or fentanyl deaths. Every state is a border state, guys, every state. And we are America. We are the United States of America, united. And even though, and thank God our founding fathers established this nation this way, so that the federal government did not have direct control over every state. So that Governor Greg Abbott could stand up and say, no, you know what? It's not going to work for me, Biden. I have to protect the people of the state of Texas first. That is what is most important. That's why Governor Kristi Noem is doing what she's doing. That's why Governor, Ron DeSantis is doing what he's doing. That's why we're watching governors across this nation back Governor Greg Abbott. Because every single state is being affected by this chaos. But again, it is up to you. It is up to you. Each and every one of you to pick up your phone and tell your lawmakers, hey, guess what? I'm not going to put up with this. And let me tell you this, Biden and this administration, if they retaliate, imagine how hilarious this will be. This will be so funny. You know what? If they decide to federalize the National Guard, by the way, I don't think, and no Border Patrol agent has cut that concertina wire. None of them. They don't want to do it, and they will not do it. I don't think unless they are absolutely forced to do it. Like if they threaten to take away their jobs or something. And even then, I don't know if they'll do it. But imagine the heyday that President Trump will have if President Biden tries to federalize the National Guard and forces them to take down that barbed wire and forces them to do it. If they cut down that, well, it's the concertina wire that I'm watching them roll out right now. If they cut all of that down, take all of the barriers away from that Rio, and people start just flooding in again. I mean, if I was President Trump, I'd be out there with cameras. I'd be ready for my next big commercial, my presidential commercial. Because the man that's sitting in the White House right now and the people who are moving him around, the puppet that's there right now, and the Obamas and Clintons who are utilizing him as their little puppet, and Kamala, the where did she go borders are Harris, whoever she is, I don't even see her anymore. I forget about her sometimes. They do not care about you. They don't care about your kids. They don't care about you. They don't care about anybody. They care about themselves. They line their pockets with foreign money. They have children that basically can do whatever they want and get away with it. They do not care about the fact that we have adversaries like China flying balloons over our nation and purchasing land right near like Laughlin Air Base in Del Rio and all across this country, like right next to our military installations. They don't care. They don't care about that. What they care about is protecting their own. What they care about, like the Mitch McConnells and all them who the Senate, these rhinos are going to back this like thankless bill that doesn't have anything to do with protecting you. It is a big, bold-faced lie. Right now, President Biden can secure that border. We don't need any bill to do that. He took away over 90 executive orders from President Trump. The minute he came into the White House, he just shut everything down that President Trump had put in place to protect our nation and opened it wide so they could have voters for the future. Let's just be frank. So they can gerrymander and have voters for the future so that they can build their populace in their particular districts and have dependent voters for the future. That's what they think. And that's what they're doing. So they don't care about you. None of them do. Some of them, yes, but I'm talking about the rhinos. I'm talking about the Dems and the radicals. They do not care about you. So get out there, just take a moment. Like if you're driving home from school, driving to work, in between, going to the grocery store, call your lawmaker, leave a message. Really do it. I promise you, I've been on Capitol Hill. It makes a difference. They have to listen to those things. And the people in their offices, the young people that are working for them, they are listening. And if they get a ton of calls that say, thank you first to all of you who are in states where your governors are backing Governor Greg Abbott, please call them and thank them, send them an email, thank them, let them know how much you appreciate them. And for all of you who are living in states whose governors are just basically allowing our nation to be invaded, you know what? Like Senator Langford and others, please call them and tell them how disgusted you are with them and that if they don't change, you're going to vote them out. You're just going to throw them out and get rid of them because they're useless. They're useless. They're only serving themselves. Trust me on this. I plan on getting back to the border, guys. I will be there again, hopefully this week. There's a lot of big things planned for the border this week. A lot of people are going to be heading that way. So I look forward to bringing you those stories, even if it's on a weekend, Anyways, guys, I plan on being at the border this week. Like I said, I will be there to deliver the story directly to you, straight from the ground, straight truth. No pretense. No, I'm sitting at my desk pretending what's going on at the border. No, I'll be there with you to report for you. That's how important this is. And I'm making calls. As soon as I get off this podcast, I'll be making some more calls. I hope you join me next time. Please make sure you're subscribed to the Sara Carter Show on your favorite podcast app. It helps us keep the show free and it really gives us a boost in the algorithm. If you're watching on Rumble or YouTube, give us a like and follow us as well. Thank you so much. It really does make a difference. Follow me on Truth at Sara Carter Official, on X at Sara Carter DC, and on Instagram at SCarterDC. God bless you. God bless our National Guard, our Texas DPS, our local law enforcement, and our Border Patrol agents who are up against, not only the drug cartels and the human traffickers, but the President of the United States. How sad is that? And by the way, God bless the great state of Texas.